All right, so now we're going to talk very briefly about cube roots. As eighth graders, you're not required to know a lot about cube roots, but I definitely want to give you that quick introduction because you'll see them. So a cube root looks an awful lot like a square root symbol or a radical. The difference is that if you don't see a number on this symbol, you assume that it is a square root or there is a 2 there that we don't write. Once you have a cube root or a fourth root or a fifth root, the number sits right here. And in this case, the number is a 3. Just like square roots are represented by a 2 because you can make a two-sided figure a square. A cube root is a 3 because it's a three-dimensional figure. All sides are the same. So that's why it's called a cube root, not a third root. You could call it a third root, but for some reason we just call it a cube root. So let's say we're looking at a number like 1,000. Seems like a very big number, but don't let that big number scare you. Remember, we're looking for a number that is multiplied by itself now 3 times to give us 1,000. So basically, what number would we put in each of these blanks to give us 1,000? Has to be the same number. You might already know what it is. If you don't already know what it is, when I write it in there, hopefully it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So if you wanted to multiply a number by itself 3 times to give you 1,000, notice that there are 3 zeros there. Ten times 10 times 10 is 1,000. So that means that the cube root of 1,000 is equal to 10. Interestingly, there are a couple others that are worth mentioning. Cube root of 1. You might think, well, that can't be a perfect cube. What number times itself 3 times is going to give us 1? Well, actually, that's not too bad. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So cube root of 1 is 1. Cube root of 8. If you've been working with exponents for a while, you might remember that we see 8 quite a bit when we're working with exponents if we have 2 as our base and 3 as our exponent. 2 times 2 times 2 is not 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8, making the cube root of 8 2. One more just for good measure. Cube root of 27. Looking for a number that you multiply by itself 3 times to give you 27. And that number you might recognize from our work with exponents is 3. 3 times 3 times 3 is not 9. 3 times 3 is 9. And multiply by 3 again to give you 27, which makes the cube root of 27 3. So what number times itself 3 times gives us 1? 1. What number times itself 3 times gives us 8? 2. What number times itself 3 times gives us 27? 3. So that's what a cube root is. The symbol is the same as the square root symbol. They just throw in a 3 in that little corner.